being totally frozen, I was so calm, y'all. I could handle any tantrum, any place, anytime, genuinely. But there was misattunement in it, right? So they didn't feel heard and seen as they were melting down, even though I was right there, even though I was doing the right actions. They were like, Mama, you don't feel me. And they were right.
I think when I came into SmartBody SmartMind, I didn't know how much I was going to learn from the parenting perspective and what was going to change. But it's changed my entire relationship with my kids.
And I did the attachment parenting. I co-slept. I nursed on demand. I did all those things that I thought was really right. That was opposite from my experience. But until I did this nervous system regulation work, I was doing all those things and I gave her so much love, but I couldn't really fully be present because underneath it, I was very anxious all the time.
Becoming a parent was just too much emotionally, physically, mentally. I remember everything was just scary, like anxiety. Am I messed up and I'm doing something clearly wrong if I suffer so much? Or there is something else to that? SBSM helped me understand this.
I'm a completely different person in terms of my physiology and my own well-being, but also my family, my collective well-being. I'm not frightened of big energies now, whereas when I first came to this work, I didn't express any anger. I was just flatline, and so were my own children. Even in the hormonal maelstrom of adolescence, they were flatlined. I had to kind of defibrillate myself and come back to life. And consequently, it has had a domino effect on their nervous systems.
So I was parenting in disassociation, which again was that calm, like I was so calm. And coming out of that, being in my body in a consistent way, probably for the first time in my life, I've watched my children embody themselves in a way I don't think they could have at this point in their lives if I hadn't done that first.
My kiddo, they've been late diagnosed with autism. I've been diagnosed with ADHD, but I don't let those labels get to me because the nervous system work changes everything. Before I did the work, I would just try to fix it. I would go in and try to fix it, and I was very anxious around it. Doing this work, I've learned to be with it and allow it to process. I've allowed myself to process the emotions and feelings.
I would say like the most profound thing is there's so much, but it chokes me up to even say this, but like I can really love them now, like I could love them before, but it's like, I mean, obviously when we give birth, it changes us and it's a love like we can't ever even describe, right? But the dysregulation and the trauma, it like interferes with our ability to show up in that love, right? And so now, first of all, the fight, flight, the tantrums and the explosions and the high emotions, they don't affect me the way they used to, because now I kind of am relieved when I see my kid getting it out like that. So that's huge. But also the way I show up just in support is very different. And I think I was just so dysregulated before that I didn't know how to have my compassion there at the front line,
I discovered your work by accident. I'm also a therapist, a psychotherapist and clinical supervisor. And at that time, I was working predominantly with children. Something in me just clicked. I thought, this. Since then, I've actually decided to stop working with children because I began to get rather fed up with parents, schools, other systems presenting a child and saying, oh, can you see this child for therapy? They've got a problem with X, Y, Z, and the systems around them not having the education or the willingness to work on themselves.
The words were always in my home. The words were always in their lives, but they weren't trustworthy. They didn't believe me because I wasn't connected to myself. The things that I had been trying to do suddenly worked. And it's not it feels like magic, but it's not actually magic. It's just how we're supposed to human.
I had to cultivate from zero so many important things that are necessary to raise a human being. Like, how am I supposed to raise a human being if I don't know what safety is? SBSM has all the tools to approach safety in your life.
Can't speak highly enough about how this has impacted myself, my family, and that ripple effect that goes out.